Friends, I've told myself, if this happens again, if I see another athlete, bodybuilder that is so incredibly young die suddenly for no apparent reason, or for reasons that are shared in this Generation Iron article, I'm going to make a video about it. Now, first of all, Jody, oh my heartfelt condolences to the family. This is so incredibly painful. This rocks your world. My dad died in January, so that's a month ago, and I was with him, but my dad was 84. And you can't prepare for this. This hits you like a freight train. Even though we knew he was in the final stages of Parkinson's disease, and you think that you can somehow prepare for your dad passing, it hits you like a truck. And so in this case with Jody, she was way too young. Now there's a couple of things that I really want to share with you, and that is the following. So that's her coach, J.M. Ikhali. Number one, Jody was not competing at the Arnolds this weekend. She was over 20 weeks out. Number two, there were no diuretics. So diuretics are drugs that influence your water levels being used. She's 20 weeks out. Why would there be? Number three, since her passing, I've been made aware there were extra things being used away from our set protocol, what most certainly would have contributed to this. So, and let me go on before I give you my feedback. So this is from my family, from Jody's family and loved ones. For those that haven't heard yet, Jody passed away yesterday afternoon. Her heart stopped due to complications of severe dehydration. Despite all efforts by the hospital, they were unable to revive her. She was a beautiful person inside and out, and she will be missed every single day. This was sudden and unexpected. Please give her family time to process this loss in peace. If anyone takes anything from this, please put your health first. So that's why I'm making this video. Jody, this is painful. I am so sorry. And now, here's that one post. Watch this. Jody used, that's from our coach, Justin Michali. Jody used 2 extremely hazardous substances to improve her physique. I assume just for the Arnold Expo. Without my knowledge, my approval. Without family's knowledge, their approval. But Jody was not prepping. She was not in peak weeks. There's no reason she should have been dehydrated. Jody wanted to compete throughout Texas this year. And here they say she expressed interest, right? Where is this? Where they say she expressed interest? Here we go. Jody had expressed interest to me before that she wanted to use drugs for the last prep. But as with any client, blah, blah, it is a freaking sport. We have conversations and decided it's not to be used at that time. So now here I go. Now here's my feedback. You can look good, awesome, and great without this crap. This is just not worth it. It is just not worth it. If you lose the function of one of your joints, your organs, or the worst case, you die, there's nothing that you can put next to death that would give it some weight, where you say, all right, this was worth dying for, or, depending on how you look at it from the perspective. But what I'm trying to say is, if you wreck your body, but you made a lot of money with the sport, and you're able to take care of your kids, your family, your brother, your sister, your grandchildren, your dog, everything included, because the sport was paying so well, like the NFL or the NHL or the NBA or soccer or tennis, and now you suffer the consequences from intense sport, at least, we can say, at least you're safe, right? I know money isn't everything, but at least you can say, well, the counterbalance is everyone's taken care of. And I think about this statement that Dan John gave me. Dan John was a shot putter. And he said, listen, I tweaked my back. I messed up my back. I messed up my spine from all the heavy rotations with the weight. But it paid for the college of my kids. It paid for the house. It paid for my life. It paid for my wife. It paid for everything. And yes, money isn't the only factor. But why are you putting your life on the line for this crappy sport? No disrespect towards anybody. But if we go through the statement again, she used hazardous substances without the knowledge. You have to work with a person to put them on the pedestal or on the cliff where they finally drop off the cliff by steering them towards that road, where drugs are even in question, where we consider taking drugs for that sport, where we consider taking hazardous substances. Because nobody in their right mind wants to take drugs just for the fun. Well, for the fun of it, maybe that's something different. But considering if you never get close or near drugs because you have a training protocol or a philosophy that completely excludes the use of substances, then you might have these thoughts, but you don't get close to it. You get what I'm saying? You do not get in close contact with these substances unless you are in a sphere where the usage of these substances happens on a regular basis. So that's number one. So if you get involved into this stuff, you are bound to take drugs because you want to compete and always look your best, and especially women. With women, it is crazy. We guys, us men, we have bigorexia. We think we're always thin. We think I always have to be big. This crazy thinking that if my arms don't look like this, if my legs don't look like this, I'm worth nothing. Well, at the end of the day, this doesn't matter. This matters and this matters. But to stay on topic, she was not in peak weeks. She was not prepping. When you say this, you are implying that if she was in peak weeks, it might have been considered. So again, it's not the fact of taking the drug in and all by itself. It's the fact that you are in a sphere where taking drugs happens regularly and it's normal. And I think that's one of the reasons why bodybuilding will never make it to the Olympics, because taking drugs is bound to happen. And yes, there were people who were using doping in the Olympics, but it's not the same. It's simply not the same. And if you look at research, especially from Satsyorsky and Verkhoshansky, they mentioned, and Dr. Michael Yesses, they mentioned that taking drugs and taking steroids messes with your performance on a certain level. Incredible stuff. So it's not just boiling it down and say everybody's taking drugs when they perform. No, they have crazy periodization protocols, crazy high work ethic, crazy talent, and they are equipped to do it. But that's another topic. And so then, Jody has expressed interest to me before to use it for her last prep. So here we go. She was in that sphere. And they considered, or she considered it because she got in contact with it. For what? For this little trophy that you get where you don't even earn a buck? This is worth putting your life on the line? And has nothing to do with Jody. Nothing to do at all. But we have to talk about it and listen what the family says. You have to put health first. And I am so grateful that I found my exit out of this crazy world of bodybuilding, where you always think that you have to look good and great and crazy, or you're not worth your salt, you're not worth anything. And then you are in this bubble and you follow all these people where you think you're not good enough. This happens to every one of us. I'm not saying that bodybuilding in and all by itself is a bad thing, because where it comes from folks like Eugene Sandow, Felice Napoli, old-time strongman. And then it suddenly morphed into aesthetics and look at the Greek statues. I love aesthetics. I love looking lean. I love looking solid. I love looking strong. I love looking like somebody who can do some work, but I have found my peace that I am a lightweight dude and I'm happy with it. I have found my peace that I'll never build that crazy muscle unless I have to take certain substances. I have found my peace that I can train in a way, especially with kettlebells, where I can still build muscle, but I can also take care of my heart. I can take care of my mobility. I can take care of my aesthetics. I can take care of my endurance. I can take care of getting the feeling of intensity without injuring myself. So this crazy world, and this happens so often. Generation Iron posts that stuff on a regular basis. So my plea to you, and that's, for example, why everybody expresses interest in a crazy guy that has crazy genetics, like Sam Sulek, for example, and then everybody talks about him. And I don't want to disrespect anybody. I just want you to put this in perspective. This is not worth it. I don't think it is worth it. And this is so sad. This is so painful for the family, for friends, for everybody in her surroundings, where they probably think this sport now killed her. What do you think the family and their friends and their close community now thinks about lifting, thinks about training? They condemn it because they think this has taken the life of my beautiful daughter. This has taken the life of my beautiful sister. Well, at the end of the day, no, it's the drugs that did this. It's this crazy lifestyle. It's that crazy mind virus, that cycle that you fall into, where you always want to perform and look good and look crazy, especially if you are between 20 and 30. If you're younger, you are easily influenced, and then you are constantly checking your socials, looking at your competitors, and you're looking for the edge. For what in the end? This is so incredibly painful, and I am so sorry for Jody. I am so sorry.